When we bought the farmhouse, the realtor warned us about its quirks. Doors swelled shut in summer. The plumbing moaned like a dying animal. And the floors, well, they creaked. Just the house settling, she said with a smile. But from the first night, I knew something was off. Lying in bed, I'd hear faint, rhythmic taps beneath the floorboards, too deliberate to be random, too human to ignore. I convinced myself it was the pipes, or maybe mice. That worked for a week, until the tapping became knocking. One night, as I lay in bed, the sound came again. Knock, 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 directly beneath my side of the bed. I bolted upright, heart pounding. My husband, Mark, stirred. "You hear that?" I whispered. He mumbled something about raccoons and rolled over, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the sound was intentional, like someone trying to get my attention. The next morning, I mentioned it to our neighbor, an elderly man named Pete, who had lived in the area his whole life. His face darkened when I described the sounds. "That house," he said, "has history." "What kind of history?" Pete hesitated. "There was a girl. Back in the 1940s, she disappeared. Folks said she ran off, but they never found her. Some say she's still there." I laughed it off, but that night, the knocking came again, this time louder. Mark finally heard it too. "That's not an animal," he admitted, his face pale. The next day, we pulled up the floorboards in the bedroom. I expected to find pipes or animal droppings. What I didn't expect was the small, dirt-covered hatch hidden beneath the boards. "Did you know this was here?" Mark asked, his voice tight. I shook my head. The hatch was locked, but the rusted latch gave way easily. The smell hit us first, earthy and damp, with a faint metallic tang. Mark shined a flashlight down. The beam revealed a narrow crawl space, barely 3 feet high. In the middle of the space sat a box, a child's toy chest, faded pink and covered in dust. "Don't touch it," I said, but Mark was already climbing down. He lifted the lid. Inside were crumbling toys, a stuffed bear with one eye, a tin soldier, a wooden doll, and a journal. Mark handed it up to me. The pages were brittle, but I could still make out the handwriting. The entries were from a girl named Clara. The last entry read, "I told Daddy about the knocking under my bed. He said it was just the house settling. But tonight, I heard whispering too. They said they're coming for me. I'm so scared. I think I'll hide in the crawl space. Daddy will find me in the morning." We both froze, staring at the journal. That's when the knocking started again, this time from inside the crawl space. Mark scrambled out, slamming the hatch shut. We stood there, shaking, as the knocking grew more frantic, more desperate, and then it stopped. For a moment, there was silence, but just as we started to breathe again, we heard it, a girl's voice, faint and muffled. "Let me out." We didn't sleep that night. By morning, we had packed our things and left. The farmhouse is still for sale. I wonder if the next owners will find the journal, or if Clara will find them first.